All right, guys. Now, I know we didn't get the result we wanted against Ukraine. Max, I know you used to play for Australia, right? But we actually like winning in New Zealand. We care about winning, so help with that this time. Cameroon, they are higher ranked, so be wary, but we've got a good record against the African opposition, especially from the World Cup. So just pretend it's a World Cup game, and we should be fine. Want to get a win here, go up the rankings before we have to get stuck into OFC Nations Cup stuff, because that could hurt that ranking and whatnot, okay? Good performance here, and also, when you come back after training today, you're going to leave a box at the corner by the door, so you guys can let me know where you want me to stop on the bus trip, okay? That sound like a good idea? Let's beat Cameroon. Get up the rankings, boys. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 78 of the New Zealand Builder Nation here on Shaun Does FM with both the All Whites and with Cashmere Technical. And coming up today, going to play a game with both of those teams. First up, we're going to take on Cameroon in the March international window before we get stuck into the quarterfinals of the OFC Champions League. To be fair though, that should be pretty easy for us at Cashmere Technical as we take on West Tribe FC from Papua New Guinea. So if you're looking forward to that coming up in today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated, but at the end of last week, ran through only a few transfers we did going to the new season at Cashmere Technical before getting stuck into the group stages of that OFC Champions League. So if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Have gone for a little bit off the back of that. As you can see, played a couple of domestic games in between now and then off the back of those group stages. We'll actually focus on that in the second part of today's episode, because first up, we are focusing on the All Whites, hence the lack of Cashmere Technical sweatshirt, and we're going to take on Cameroon in a friendly, just one friendly in this window, because it was the only team that we could find, kind of like that previous window where we took on Ukraine. To be fair, Cameroon are in a pretty similar position in the world rankings, actually a bit higher up in 24th, so this could be a bit tough against players like Andre Onana and Brian Mbeumo, albeit those two getting on a little bit these days in terms of the save, seeing as we are in 2032, but hopefully this time we can pick up a decent result, and we are away from home. We can actually do a bus trip for that one, but before we get stuck into the bus trip, a couple more players might be making their debut in this window, so a couple more. There'll be one more who could make his way off the bench for an All Whites debut, and that is Ollie McGoldrick from Cashmere Technical. We've said it quite a bit over the past couple of episodes that he wasn't far away from becoming a New Zealand option for us here with the All Whites, and this is his chance because Ryan Billingsley has picked up an injury with Western Sydney Wanderers. He actually had a chance to go to the MLS and turned it down, but Ollie McGoldrick comes in for him. We'll see if he makes a debut, but didn't take much convincing at all for Ollie McGoldrick to make himself eligible for New Zealand instead of for the Republic of Ireland. So Ollie McGoldrick could make a debut. In terms of other injuries going into this window, not too many. We've got one in goalkeeper. Michael Wood comes in for Billy Demnon, but to be fair, backup goalkeeper, that's not too much of an issue. And also Simon Curtis has recovered from an injury which kept him out of the last international window, as did Justin Keats. So it does mean both Hall Jones as well as Finn Surman, they do drop out Ollie McGoldrick, a better option. So he is the fifth choice for us these days in the All Whites pecking order. So it does mean first choice in most areas going into this window, albeit still a couple of players on 45-minute restrictions. As you can see, Martin Darman as per usual, also the big Kache, so it does mean a bit of a change at wingback, at least in terms of the first half going into this friendly. We do take on Cameroon, also Marco Stamanic and Josh Pickering. Josh Pickering, definitely the more notable of those, seeing as he's a regular star, so it does mean Gabriel Sloan Rodriguez, he will get a run on the left wing, and also Max Caputo. We're going to stick with him, even though a bit of an average debut for us against Ukraine late last week, but hopefully we can pick up a decent result here, especially because off the back of that Ukraine result, we have slipped down the world rankings just a little bit. I think it's now one spot more than off the back of that game. We're 39th, so hopefully a decent result here might just move us up the rankings a bit more, because right off the back of this, we will get stuck into the OFC Nations Cup, albeit a lot of that probably will take place off camera, seeing as we're a lot higher ranked these days than the other teams in Oceania. Should be picking out for an 8th time, and that will help us make our way into World Cup qualifying, which you'd like to think we'll get through pretty comfortably. It will actually be interesting to see how we get on in terms of the draw for the next World Cup. because we should be in a better position to maybe make our way into a pot that's not pot all this time with our work over the last couple of years. But we're going to take on Cameroon. Tricky assignment, as I said, pretty similar in terms of stature to Ukraine, apart from the fact these guys are from Africa. But for the first time in a while, we can get stuck in to a bus trip. And first up, we need to find some accommodation near the stadium we're playing at over in Cameroon in the Yaoundé area. I believe is how you might pronounce that. Apologies, my pronunciations today are probably going to be blimmin' awful, but we'll see how we get on. I found a decent hotel nearby, only an 8-minute drive from the stadium. It's the Relax Palace Hotel. It doesn't look too big, but that might suit us. Hopefully we can book the whole place out. It did look like from some of the photos, they do have a restaurant inside, a swimming pool, some deck chairs, should be good. Not too sure about a gym. Hopefully there's one nearby. Otherwise, just do some on-pitch training, but looks fairly decent. There's the restaurant, that looks big enough. For the New Zealand football team, there was a better option a little bit further away. Would have been a 30-minute bus trip, would have been the Hilton, but that was very expensive. And we New Zealand football, I don't think we can afford that just yet, but it looks like a decent hotel, even with some pretty dodgy artwork in terms of statues. We'll ignore that, because don't want to get this taken down by YouTube, but it isn't the longest bus trip here. It's 8 minutes, and thankfully, Cameroon does have Street View, the main reason we can actually do this bus trip today, unlike the last couple. So we'll start things off at the Relax Palace Hotel. And unfortunately, Street View doesn't actually kick until quite close to the stadium. Didn't realise that. Should have checked this a bit more before I said we could do a bus trip. But there we start things off there at the Relax Palace Hotel. To be fair, from aerial shot, doesn't look too good, but maybe that's because they're using quite grainy cameras over in Cameroon. But we make our way here, down the driveway, take a right-hand turn, go near a hardware store, I believe, was somewhere around here, then take a left and make our way down the N1/N4. So I think that might be a motorway there in Cameroon. Go past a couple of things that might be painting. Indeed it is, so I kind of get the language. Thankfully, not too much difference. We go past the Mount Zion Deliverance, which is a place of worship. Not too sure if our boys will be interested in that, albeit a video game store. That might be quite good for the manager. Might be able to stop in there, maybe upgrade my computer for FM24. We'll go past Beauty Fashion. That might be more interesting for the players. They can get a haircut. Also, shopping in bazaars if they want to do some shopping once they're done with their haircuts. So a couple of stops on the way. Go down here a bit further and we'll see if we can find anything else that's interesting. We can actually get to Street View itself. We go past the restaurant bar VIP. It's a what restaurant, so it'll be interesting to see what they serve up there. Maybe we should do a menu check instead of a bus trip. But unfortunately, there's no menu online or website, so we can't check that as much as I was hoping. But I think now we're going to start to get a bit closer to Street View. But unfortunately, we're going here down this right-hand side of the road. We'll just see if I can click on that. We cannot, but we'll try and keep this bus trip nice and short. You can go past the barber and also some banks, a bus station. That looks like it's a university there. Indeed it is. We'll go down a bit further, past the petrol station, and then a very nice loopy bit for us here. We take a right-hand turn, go underground, and that should start to get us pretty close to the ground itself. You can see there's actually a walking track there in the light blue. But I think as we make our way past the Clean Presta, we can start to do the Street View part of this bus trip, and indeed that is the case. We're going to make our way here down the roads of Cameroon. You'd like to think New Zealand football maybe could actually pay for a bus driver instead of making the manager do it, but apparently that's not the case. We'll just see how this goes. This could definitely be a situation where we get lost quite easily, but I'm pretty sure they're on the left-hand side in the distance. That indeed is the stadium that we are playing. It's not too far away from the hotel. That was the main reason. I think somewhere there was the Clean Presta. No idea what that was then, so I think we'll just skip over that. We'll make our way here down these fairly decent roads over in Cameroon. Actually, thought they might be a bit worse than this. This is quite nice. We'll go here down these lanes. I've got more lanes than we do in New Zealand on some motorways which get backed up. Looking at you, the one between Nelson and Richmond here at the top of the South Island. But we'll keep going down here. To be fair, there's not a lot to look at apart from a fair bit of greenery around the outside of the stadium. We'll keep going here. I'm going to try to get a bit closer to the stadium. We can have a decent look at that, unless something else pops up in between now and then. And not too much further down the road, we actually have the turn off here for the stadium. Unfortunately, you have to run this person over. Apologies, but you should have moved. Thankfully, they have now. I think we can go down there. In fact, we can't through Street View. Can we just click down there a little bit more and try and make our way down the road? No, we can't. So that's the outside of the stadium. Don't think we can do much better than that. We'll just see if we can get a closer look at the stadium. But as I said, not too long a bus trip there between our hotel and the stadium in Yaoundé in Cameroon. And unfortunately, I couldn't get much of a look in terms of the road to the stadium, but we've made our way here. We've parked up and hopped out the bus. Now, to be fair, it kind of still looks like the stadium might be under construction from when this picture was taken back in 2019. I think it hosted the African Nations Cup or something similar in 2021 from something that I did see on Google. Don't hold me to that, but you can see there on the edge of the stadium, this still looks like it needs a bit of work. It did look a bit greener from the road that we did just travel on. So we'll see what else we can look at here in terms of the outside of the stadium. And this picture taken in November 2021 I think is a lot nicer. This is probably a bit closer to when it did get completed. That looks a lot more green. It actually looks like a proper stadium now with the colourful outside, the little diamond shapes there, albeit might have still been under construction a little bit, seeing as that's not fully complete on the outside, but now should be able to get a look at the inside of the stadium. And indeed you can kind of see it looks a bit like an Olympic style stadium here with a running track along the outside, a bit of space in between the crowd and the ground itself, which to be fair might not be the worst idea, because sometimes refereeing and AFCON and all that can be a little bit dodgy, as has been the case over the last couple of years. But the stadium itself looks like decent turf there. They've got the dugouts on the running track, which is a little bit interesting, but maybe that'll be nice for my feet cushioning. Won't get too sore jumping up and down when we score all these goals through the likes of George McDonald. But there's the stadium we're playing at over here in Cameroon. First bus trip in a little while. Hopefully it was worth the wait, and we'll come back shortly and try and pick up a win here with the All Whites in Cameroon. And here are the team sheets for this lone friendly of this March international window. There are Cameroon. They are going with a 4-4-2, as you saw before. Onana and Mbeumo, probably the most recognisable names in that team. In terms of us changes at both wing backs, because Sono and White with those minute restrictions for Darman and Kakache, and also Sloan Rodriguez in there for Pickering. For the same reason, hopefully can pick up a result here, make our way back up those world rankings. And just shy of the 10-minute mark with the first highlight in this game. It's a throw to us, albeit deep inside our own half. And for some reason, we give that one straight to Mbeumo. He finds Nwue, who will put that one home. Alex Paulson just watches that one, going to the bottom right corner. Beefy, not too sure if he could have saved that, but still, that's a really weird highlight and first goal to concede. I hope it came from an injury where they knocked the ball out of play, but still, that's a very soft goal to concede early, and we go 1-0 down. And only a few minutes off back of that weird opening goal, Cameroon yet again here on the attack. Obviously, they're in the green with the red and yellow trim, where in the all-white being the all-whites. But still on the attack here through Boué. If you're an American, thankfully that shot, it goes high and wide. But early stages, Cameroon are kind of bullying us here off the back of that strange opening goal, albeit a few minutes later, and we do have the ball down the other end of the field. We just find there Cornelius Beale actually stuffed that up for the first couple of years at AFC Auckland, as I figured out when doing the songs a couple of weeks ago, but we keep the ball there, thankfully, albeit interesting back pass there from Caputo to Kelly Hield. So far, looking a little bit shaky at international level, especially for a player who scored in his lone cap for the Socceroos. But George McDonald gets slopped through there from Justin Keat. He'll put that one away, bottom right corner, and thankfully, that weird opening goal, not effective for long. We pull one back ourselves there and make it 1-1. Just past the 15-minute mark, Kelly Hield plays it forward to Bill Caputo, out to Justin Keat, and really well-timed ball through that to McDonald. To be fair, it's a little bit to do there, beat Onana from a tight angle, but thankfully, EIEI goal goes past what's your name, Onana, and that makes it 1-1, just shy of halfway through the first half. And with just under 10 minutes left in the first half, we eventually get the next highlight of it here, but it's a throw into Cameroon inside our final third, kind of like that first highlight. Yet again, they find some space here on the edge of the box, shot there from a gamey, but thankfully Paulson this time comes up with a decent save. I'm hoping we can keep this at 1-1 going to half-time, because Cameroon, as I'll show you at half-time, lots of players on minute restrictions, especially compared to us, so I think they're going to be forced into quite a few subs at half-time, but thankfully we do have the danger there from that highlight late in the first half. We'll just scan here and see what players might be worth taking off at half-time. Both the ones down our left-hand side not doing too well in Adam White and Sloan Rodriguez, so I think that's where we'll start things off here at halftime. To be fair, stats-wise, actually, you could argue we're on the front foot in this game at one more shot and shot on target, more XG, and also possession. So we're doing quite well here. Just that really weird opening goal that we did concede. We'll make changes down our left-hand side. Kache and Pickering, some first-teamers, can make their way onto the pitch. We'll just quickly show you here opposition instructions. I usually do this off camera. I did it earlier. Lots of players there on 45 minutes. Hopefully that means that Cameroon might be forced here into doing some subs they don't want to, and hopefully we can run over the top of them in the second half. There's a chance, because it's 1-1 at halftime. And just about to make our way up to the hour mark in this game. So far, nothing's really happened in the second half, but a couple of players out there going fairly on some okay ratings. We're going to take off Louis Evans on a 6.5 for Joe Bell, and also Max Caputo hasn't quite hit the ground running for the All Whites. Jamie Kelly can come on for him. Half hour left, still 1-1. And 10 minutes off the back of that previous sub, still no highlights in the second half, but now as Bielu drops down to a red heart, so the old guard midfielder Marco Stamenik can come on for him. 20 minutes left and still locked up. And only a few minutes on from that previous sub, now it's time for our last one. Victor Sono down to a red heart, as well as Justin Keat. I think defensively might want to solidify things, especially with a first team player. So Martin Darman can come on. Also going to put Justin Keat onto attack, go a bit wider, and we'll see if those changes can do something late in this game. And in fact, right off the back of that, there is a highlight starting off here with a goal kick to Alex Paulson. We take it short and play it out to Sono. So in fact, this highlight is before that final substitution can go through. The Hutt Valley hero, Jamie Kelly, plays that one back to Kelly Heald. All the Kellys linking up now. Kakache out to Pickering. Poor pass there though, looking for Kelly, but thankfully that clearance, Kelly Heald, he can tie things up maybe. That's why I should keep sticking with Max Caputo. Too many Kellys on the field can get confusing. He'll take on the shot here though. That goes quite close. Nearly catches out Onana, but unfortunately just goes wide. Still 1-1. But hopefully going to run over the top here of Cameroon with all those 45-minute players that they did have late. And now that we're about to make our way into the last 10 minutes, it's time for us here to go full out attack, because I think we could get a result here. Kakache on attack, Bell on support. We'll go attacking, shorten the passing, and this time distribute to the fullbacks and also go to a high defensive line. Let's see if we can run over the top here of Cameroon late. And in fact, right off the back of making those changes, the highlight is in progress here, so we'll just see what happens from this one, if it's worthwhile. Good interception there from Joe Bell. Kelly forward to George McDonald, takes on a shot there from a tight angle, and Onana actually tips that one over the bar. Thought that one came off the woodwork. We'll just see if we see the corner off the back of those changes. No, we don't, so we probably could have cancelled those, but unfortunately, McDonald there goes quite close, but Onana makes a decent save. He must be doing better than he is at Man United. But now Joe Bell with a free kick. He scored one of these not too long ago from a very similar position. Let's see if he can do so again. Goes looking for the top right corner. It comes off the woodwork, and unfortunately, still 1-1. I think we're going to go back to standard passing, but be more expressive and also distribute quickly late on. Let's see if those changes can do anything. I'm pretty happy with what else is going on here as we make our way into the final few minutes of this game and 3 minutes of added time. And now we've got a late highlight here, and we are on the attack. Justin Keat with a poor pass there looking for Pickering, and Cameroon can intercept that one. Maybe those changes are going to backfire. Atangana starts to cut inside, almost one-on-one there with Alex Paulson, but thankfully just puts that one wide. Cameroon there. Actually, a good chance to get a late winner. Now we're down the other end for a corner. Tyler Binden gets his head on the end of that one. Unfortunately, goes just over the bar. So both teams with some decent late chances to win that game. It's a 1-1 draw, which to be fair, not bad at all for us with our ranking with the All Whites. We'll see what that does to it before we get stuck into the OFC Nations Cup later this season, because that could impact it in a negative way. Dare I say, but a 1-1 draw, not too big. You'd argue we were the team on the front foot in that game. Higher XG, but unfortunately couldn't quite make it count. But that is a decent result away from home. A 1-1 draw with Cameroon. So an okay result for us there first up. In today's episode, felt like we potentially could have got a win from that one, but we'll take a draw away at the 24th best team in the world, especially because that now means we've gone back up the world rankings just a little bit to equal 37th. Hopefully that won't drop too much when we take part in these upcoming Oceania games, which we are going to have to play in the OFC Nations Cup. First up, we have the draw for that competition in Group B again, hosted in New Zealand. So really, this should be very easy work for us. We take on New Caledonia, the Solomon Islands, and Tahiti in the group stage. Top 3 finish, and we're in the World Cup qualifying, but really should be winning that and hopefully can do a lot of that work off camera. But next up for us now, we're going to switch to Cashmere Technical mode, hence the sweatshirt. We're going to take part in the first leg of the quarterfinals of the OFC Champions League against West Tribe FC from Papua New Guinea. You'd like to think this is a team that we can beat pretty comfortably, seeing as they only finished second in their group behind AS Magenta. I think from New Caledonia. Indeed, that is the case, really. Just want to make sure we get through this and set up that big semi-final, which should be against Auckland City coming up in tomorrow's episode. Now, we were in the process of making a sale late on yesterday's episode. Christian Benitez might have been off to the Central Coast Mariners. That has gone through, but because it went through after the A-League transfer window closed, he is here until the start of June, so it does mean we can still use him for the Champions League. Quite useful that we can keep him but get a bit of money. So Christian Benitez will be leaving us, but not for a little while yet, couple more months. Does mean he can finish off this OFC Champions League, which, as I said, quite important this season because I'm pretty sure this is the one we need to win to make our way to the FIFA Club World Cup. As you can see, taking a bit of a risk here, I'm putting out essentially a full rotation for the Champions League, just to make sure we can do the job in the Southern League, coming up against teams like Nelson Suburbs, who did beat us last season in that Southern League. So I think I'm going to use the first team for that, and hopefully these rotation players can get the job done against a team like West Tribe. Half-star reputation, I believe they were. We should be beating them even with a rotated team. Hopefully do a good job here in the first league. So we can just do a quick recap of the second one, pretty much just already make our way through off the back of this game from the GMP. Also, though, before we get stuck into this one, we have played a few games off the back of the end of last week with Cashmere Technical, the main one being the Charity Cup, and we picked up a 1-0 win. Really dominant in this game, but yet again, it did look like it might go to penalties, which would have no doubt suited Western Suburbs, because that's the only way they know how to score goals against us. But thankfully, Zhao Texera popped up with a deep injury time goal to give us a 1-0 lead. So a bit concerning the lack of goals we're scoring at the moment against New Zealand opposition. Hopefully, though, that won't translate over into the OFC Champions League, where the teams we take on are a bit weaker. That was a bit average, our finishing there from our first team, but hopefully our rotation players here will do a decent job and take us to the semi-finals for a big clash against Auckland City if we can get past West Tribe in the quarterfinals. And here are the team sheets for the first leg of this OFC Champions League quarterfinal from the GMP. As I mentioned before, pretty much a full rotation for the Champions League, so it does mean with no under-20 restrictions, we can play the likes here of Sam Clark and also Young, albeit might be a good idea to take them off early if we do take a lead, just to make sure that they're fit for the Nelson Suburbs game. West Tribe FC were there before, but hopefully don't need to worry about them too much here to show you guys this, to show you that we're definitely going to be setting up that tie with Auckland City in tomorrow's episode, which really will be an early final for this competition. Benitez with an early chance there from a ball floated far post. Unfortunately, though, can't quite hit the target. Gets it past Andrew in goal, but also past the woodwork. And that time, Louis Enrique, that one hits the woodwork. So a couple of chances early for us there from some set pieces, but unfortunately, no goals yet. Good foul there from Vinicius, and thankfully does not pick up a yellow card. Early stages on the front foot. Another free kick for us here, coming up to the 6-minute mark. Al Ghazali we searched for there at the far post, but Guppy will get this one for West Tribe. And to be fair, they had a brief chance there on the counter-attack, but Louis Henry, good work tracking back there and plays it forward to Rodriguez, albeit he loses out on the ball. Mia will play that one back into the mixer. It's a terrible pass. Good tackle there from Jamie Young, who'll actually pick up the assist. And Mohamed Al Ghazali with a real poacher's goal, that one. Poor work at the back, that from West Tribe FC. And we take a 1-0 lead here on the 6-minute mark. Good work there from Awiyara, I believe that was. But that pass is poor. Jamie Young gets a foot in there to claim the assist. And Mohamed Al Ghazali pokes that one home, bottom left corner, to give us a 1-0 lead. And shortly off the back of that, we are back on the attack here. This could be a long day at the office for West Tribe FC now. Enrique, he will pick out Rodriguez on the right-hand side, one of our youngsters here at Cashmere Technical, and he'll put it away. Also the bottom left corner, 2-0 up after only 8 minutes off the back of a couple of chances where we couldn't quite hit the target in the first couple of minutes. Now we're on track off the back of that Al Ghazali goal, one there to Rodriguez, and already we've got a 2-goal lead. And just about to make our way here up to the 20-minute mark, we did have a highlight off the back of that second goal, but it wasn't too worth showing you guys a shot that was well over the bar. But Mohamed Al Ghazali has picked up an orange injury, has got a goal, but I think we're going to play things safe here, bring on Matty Lowe. Hopefully that won't be too serious there to Al Ghazali, still 2-0 in front off the back of that. There is a free kick, and Marcus Vinicius will head that one home. That makes it 3-0. I think that might even be before Lowe's made his way onto the field, but that finally we score a goal from set piece. Had lots of chances in this game, and Vinicius just sneaks that one past Andrew at the near post to give us a 3-goal lead. And only a few minutes on from that previous goal, now we've got a corner here we searched near post. There are Matty Lowe straight off the bench. He's only been on for about 1 minute. We'll put that one home again past Andrew at the near post. It's starting to look quite threatening here in this game from set pieces. We did actually rejig these going into this new season. Might have taken the group stages to work them out, but now we're kicking into gear. 4-0, just past the halfway mark of the first half. And in fact, before I can wrap that up, another highlight here might be on a bit of a goal rush soon in this game. Marcus Vinicius plays that one back to Courtney Perkins before it goes forward there to Low Clark. Nice ball forward there to Christian Benitez, who was onside. He'll pick up his first goal of the new season. Might be one of his last ones here for us at Cashmere Technical, the soon-to-be Central Coast Mariners man, seeing as Kevin Mina does need to start for us domestically this season, with him being a good player under 20. But Clark, lovely ball forward there for Benitez, and that is a quick-fire treble to put us 5-0 in front, with still 15 minutes left in the first half. And somewhat disappointing, it looks like that'll be all the action for the first half. Things really slowing down off the back of those 3 goals we scored in between the 20 and 30-minute mark. But you'd like to think that should have already put this tie to bed with 5-0 up at half-time. Because of that, I'm probably going to take off here Sam Clark at half-time, seeing as him and Mina should be starting our next game in the National League against Nelson Suburbs. I say the National League, the Southern League, but you should know what I mean by now. But we'll bring on Texera for him in the Champions League, seeing as he's probably just a Champions League starter for us this season. But very happy with that first half. Hopefully a few more goals in the second. We really put this tie to bed, but really that should be the case already as we're 5-0 in front. But an early highlight here, West Tribe FC with a throw-in inside their own third. Unlike the All Whites game, they actually get to keep the ball. I really hope that goal was from a bit of play where a player was injured. Otherwise, that was a really annoying one to concede, especially as that was the only goal Cameroon did score in that game. But West Tribe actually are on the attack there. They pick out someone in some space, and good touch on that one from Nicholas Thomas to put that one onto the woodwork. So maybe West Tribe might come back at us here in the second half, but thankfully still 5-0 in front. And going all the way forward to the 65-minute mark for the next highlight in this game, it's a really poor back pass there. Not too sure who that was from. I think it might have been Benitez just popping up there on commentary. And West Tribe FC so far actually getting all the highlights in the second half. We're really slackened off the back of that fifth one. We did score ahead of the air. Thankfully, just goes over the bar. So West Tribe FC are getting chances here in the second half, but we're thankfully still 5-0 in front. And we're just made our way to the last 10 minutes of this game. Still no highlights in our favour in the second half. Haven't made any subs because all these players are probably going to be on the bench for our next one against Nelson Suburbs in the Southern League. But that second half, very average to be fair. Overall, that performance quite poor off the back of that fifth goal we scored at the half-hour mark. But before they're pretty good. We scored 5. Lots of different goal scorers as well. So quite happy with that. A 5-0 win I'll take. A little bit annoying that for an hour of that game, we did nothing, but that should be enough for us to make sure we're going to be pretty safe in the second leg over in Papua New Guinea. Interesting to see that Auckland City could only beat Bar 3-1 in Auckland. That could be tricky away in Fiji for that second leg. So maybe Auckland City might be at risk there of a big upset in that second leg, but we'll come back shortly and see. We should be in the semis. Let's just make sure it's going to be against Auckland City and not the Sheepmen. And thankfully we did back up that 5-0 win in the first leg with a 4-0 win away from home there at West Tribe FC Stadium. It's a fake one, so we couldn't even do a bus trip for that one if we wanted to, but 9-0 on aggregate. Tristan Turner there with a hat-trick, and also Jordan Courtney Perkins, he popped up with a headed goal. So not quite as impressive in terms of scoreline as the first leg, but thankfully this time actually scored our goals all throughout the game. So we go through very comfortably to the semis of the OFC Champions League. Also picked up a 2-0 win in the Southern League over Nelson Suburbs. Goals there to Matty Lowe and Georgios Victoros just before halftime. So thankfully, picking up some wins the early stages of the domestic season, as well as in the OFC Champions League, and the spoilers just below. You probably thought it was going to be the case anyway, but indeed, we do take on Auckland City. They cruise that away leg over in Fiji, bet bar 4-0, so that does mean a big semi-final coming up in tomorrow's episode. AS Magenta are also through because of the away goals rule of all things, and it looks like they'll probably take on the Solomon Warriors in the other semi, albeit that second leg has still not taken place. We'll see what that other semi is tomorrow, but really don't need to focus on that too much, because I think as long as we get past Auckland City, that should really be enough for us to be winning the Champions League in 2032 and hopefully seal our ticket to the FIFA Club World Cup in 2033. But that will do it for today's episode. If you enjoyed it with the All Whites game against Cameroon and also running through the quarterfinals of the OFC Champions League, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. As I said, tomorrow going to probably show you guys both legs of the semi against Auckland City, because that should be a pretty tight one, probably our toughest game in the Champions League this season. So until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.